Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Thank you for joining us for another Livery 101. This time we'll be heading into part 4. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you've been enjoying this livery content or just any content. I also do live livery creations and some GTWS racing, daily racing, and some league racing as well. Today for part 4, we are going to hop into an R8 here, and we're gonna cover working with transparency. Specifically, I think we're going to try to work with doing some flame type ideas and maybe some like space type galaxy ideas, but a lot of what you can take in today you can use in many different ways. Some of the same concepts we even worked on with fades will work here, and you'll see some overlap as we're getting into it. So let's go and jump into this R8. I chose a dark purple color just to be the base because it'll kind of work for both designs I want. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a dark color. You can go with whatever you want, but we're gonna work with some a little bit more darker matter here. So let's jump into the editor. So first off, I think it's important to know what you're looking for. In this case, we're gonna do some, like I said, we'll start on this side with a flame idea. For flames and stuff like that, and smoke, I search for clouds. I search for smoke, obviously, and those will give you some pretty good results. Think outside the box sometimes because some decals you see will work in different ways. You just kind of have to open up your imagination a little bit on it. Um, so let's get started here. I'm going to, I kind of did something like this already once for Viking Wolf, and I'm going to kind of go along the same thing. I'm going to set a base down to be our front of everything, um, and then we'll work the smoke behind it. So we're just going to put something here as a base. Pick like a, I'm going to pick a darker color because we're not going to have it pop out too much. Everything's going to kind of have that dark vibe-ish. So with smoke and transparency, once you find some, I have some here. We have some smoke I found. These were found under clouds. Just if you look at the names, you can tell. I searched different things to get them, but they're all going to kind of work in the same ways. So I picked a few different ones because they'll give us different ways to work with it. So let's just put down a base smoke here on the back. We're going to work some fire too. So we just want to, get a base smoky here. Now, with these kind of decals, they're already transparent as it is, most of them. So you won't always have to change the transparency right away. In this case, and then keep in mind your colors too. In this case, it's kind of a light white. We can probably stay with it. But for different, on the other side, we'll work with colors a little more. We're going to leave this white here. We're just going to lay that down. We're going to go add another layer that we have. Let's choose a different, so we get a little bit different style here. You see, this one isn't quite as transparent. And I'm actually going to flip this horizontal to kind of go over the wheel well. So that's another thing when you're thinking about decals, is when you're looking at them, they're not always, you don't have to use them exactly how they look because we can make them smaller, we can make it bigger. If we go in here and we hold L1 to modify, then we get what pops up as our skew with our left uh, stick and scale with our right, and you can change the way it looks. So, make sure to play around with that because you can get different effects. So we're gonna lay this down here, kind of going over the back wheel well a little bit. This one's a lot brighter, so I'm just gonna play around with it. I'm gonna bring down the transparency some. And that's what we're really working on. Transparency is really hard to teach because it's something you just kind of have to play with. Remember, it's within a decal, it's pressing triangle and then going over here. Um, and this is just your percentage. Even when you're working with things that are already transparent, you can still make them more transparent. But this is kind of giving that layering cloud effect. You can use this for smoke and fire. You can use it for clouds. There's all kinds of different ways you can use this. I mean, they're named for that. You can just use it behind a fade to give it a different texture. So let your imagination kind of go with that. We are going to look at different colors. I'm gonna I'm just gonna make that one darker. Now you can keep going a few more layers if my collection would pop up. Sometimes that happens in the Livery editor. You can keep going a few more layers if you want to just add different depth to it, right? Over here, I think I'll use this one to kind of keep it going along the car towards the front. Um, we're going to keep it here, right at that transparency. I'm going to see what it looks like in different colors here. We're going to go with just a white. And then I'm actually going to dupe that. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And I'm actually going to hold L1 and skew it a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and press triangle and bring down the transparency some just to kind of fade into the front of the car we have here. Now this is very basic with the smoke. You can keep going. You can layer, you can do other colors all you want. But that's really the basics. It's not too hard to do. We're going to bring this back up in front. We want the smoke coming from behind all of this. This is going to be like, flame and ashes and the smoke coming from behind this stack of skulls. From here, this is where it kind of gets fun that you get to play with. In this case, we're going to play with these smoke decals that actually can give a really cool fiery vibe to it. And that's what I was saying when you go and look. You can search smoke, you can search cloud, you can search fire. You're going to get different kind of decals, and think outside the box when you're thinking of searching and when you're seeing them. All right, so we're gonna, let's see, flip this, I guess. What do we like here? We're gonna do reds and oranges, I think, today. The last time I did it, I definitely used different colors. We're gonna worry about bringing the skulls up later. This shows me where the flames are coming from, though. So you can play around with these effects here and coming out of the smoke. You can duplicate them over the top of each other to kind of, you know, make it a little bit less transparent in this case. But I'm working right now in front of all the smoke. So we're gonna duplicate it. And then I'm gonna duplicate a third time. And let's see, let's add a little bit of yellow. And within the yellow, I'm gonna go to triangle and I'm gonna let it be a little more transparent. Just kind of give that red and yellow vibe to it. Can move this back in front again. And we're kind of starting to get a little bit of a flame vibe back there. We're gonna go back into our collection and let's check out this other one. And sometimes I will say, I think this paint is popping a little different with the colors. Sometimes your paint and what type of paint you're working with will make the colors pop a little different. These aren't quite jumping out like some other paints sometimes do. Let's actually go and try to change paint real quick and just see if other paint colors will, yeah, they stand out just a little bit more. Um, which while we're working on the flames, let's keep it black. I'll go back to the purple for the other example we have coming. But we can lay down some of these flames, different sizes, different styles. Let's lay down one here. Let's duplicate this. Do a yellow. Can kind of skew it a little different. We're gonna know that these skulls are there, so we're gonna leave this here and it's gonna kind of cover over the skulls. Gonna duplicate this one again, and we'll just move up move up here a little bit. Another one that's gonna be behind the skull. I'm gonna make this a little more transparent. And I'm actually going to move this one down below some of the other ones. So it's behind that red and orange one. And you can kind of keep going on this a bit. I'll show a different a different finished product that kind of looked just like this, but probably even better. I went with blue flames. Um, but you can keep playing with this. Like, I don't love the way the red is. The blue actually looked really well on this before, but I don't love that red compared to the orange. But you can keep layering this, and it can really give off a cool effect. You can go back and make the clouds or smoke in this case less transparent, especially now that it's on this black, because it kind of hits different than it hit on the purple. So keep that in mind. Your paints are going to change a little bit. So if you change your paint after the fact, I would go and mess around with that. Same thing with if you change to a different kind of decal, it's going to change how it hits. So make sure if you're going to work on this artistically, I would try to pick what type of effects you want going in. If you want the glossy, semi-gloss, matte, so you know what you're working with on your backdrop. But as you can see, you could keep going. You can keep creating this flame look if you want. You can look for different flames. If you have a different style of flames you want to do, and use that transparent background of smoke and clouds and these flames, you can look at that style. I do like these. It really came out well on my other car. Um, but that obviously takes some time and isn't in short format. I can always do that in long format on a live. Now, also remember, you don't have to have all of these flames up front. You can move one to get a different effect to behind. Let's move this layer. Let's move it behind some of the smoke. It doesn't change a ton because that smoke is transparent and this is bright. But if you're really watching, it'll get lighter and lighter. And if it doesn't get light enough for you, go into it again and make it even more transparent underneath. Ah, that's why it's not getting lighter, because I have two of them. But there you go. There's your effect behind, where it's even lighter. It has the transparent smoke going over the front if you're really trying to get subtle with it. And that's kind of the key point in all of this working on transparency is it's not just transparency, but you can add layers into it as well. So really play with the imagination of where you layer and transparency on top of that to really hit what kind of detail you're looking for. Is it something you want popping out front? Do you want it just hidden in the back? This kind of stuff working with transparency and layering really adds depth to 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 liveries. If you're looking at, doing an artistic more style than just like a racing style. We're gonna go back because that's a lot with the fire and cloud look. You just play around with that a lot. You'll get better over time. I don't do this style a ton with fire. I've only done it once or twice, which is why it would take me a longer format to really knock it down. At the end, I will show a finished product, but we're gonna go back and change this color back to, I think, a dark purple, and we're gonna go to the other side and work on doing like a galaxy type look, like a off in the sky faraway galaxy. I think I like this deep purple to start with. So let's go to the other side. It's going to be working on some of the same keys, but I figured I'd show two different ways about it, and ways you can use transparency to create some of these looks. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to throw in some bunch of cloud type stuff to get us what we're really looking for. Let's see, I'm going to change that to white. Again, we're going to bring down the transparency just to create layers, because the more layers we add over the top, the more depth we're going to have, but also the more that white's going to come out. Bring down transparency again. We're going to keep this one because this one's kind of white. We're going to go back to this one. I was going to work with some pinks and purples, I think. Keep it light. And again, this is going to be really playing with your transparencies and what you can do. So let's just keep layering. Again, a lot of this comes down to layering, layering, layering. We're going to kind of get this galaxy look coming across. I'm probably actually going to put this below some of that other stuff. We're going to move it below those ones. We're going to go back in. It's a little too popping, but I really do want to get these colors in here, so we're not going to make it too transparent. Again, it's all just artistic feel. what you think feels right. Let's put this same color down there, and then we're going to actually duplicate this one and kind of get a different color, offset it a little bit. I'm going to try to line up that little point right there. You can kind of see it slowly coming together, and then we'll use layering at the end. And this is just all kind of playing around with what we have. I'm going to put this underneath. I think. Underneath what we just did. But we're layering and layering, and you can really keep going. I'm going to add one more here, I think. And then we'll keep going on that idea. I'm going to flip this. Kind of keep this haziness going down through this. But we're going to darken that up some. And I actually think I'm going to duplicate it because it's not quite getting the full effect I wanted. And there. So we're kind of just adding this depth. So those, we would have to do something up here, but this livery would take hours and hours to kind of blend those in a little better. We could use something like this to blend those in a little better and fade off more. But in this case, since we're going short form, we're going to try not to do that. I actually think we'll do something like flipping, bringing this out through here, and making it a little more transparent again. So you can see hopefully, where this could go if you just kind of keep working at it. Um, I'm not going to keep going on this part of the idea, but basically find these different ideas that can come together by searching like things and using it's really hard, but you got to use that imagination of could this work, and then layer them so they kind of work together as much as you can, and then play with those layers. In this case, I'm going to make this more transparent. I think I'm going to say okay. I'm going to move it down below these other ones I've been working on. I want to be below that pink one. And I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to kind of give it a little bit more darker look. Make it smaller. We're going to back up the transparency because I want to get that dark, cloudy kind of look in there a little bit. So yeah, there you go. That's going to be our galaxy for now. From that, layers again. What do we need next? Let's uh, let's throw in some stars. I searched different kind of stars. I kind of like these because they're very sporadically thrown in there. But you're gonna see probably, it's clear up here. You're gonna see these brighter stars up here. I'm not gonna make these too transparent, and I'm gonna keep them on the top. I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna kind of spin it. I'm gonna kind of make them a little bit bigger. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna move these under those other layers. And I still think they're too bright. I'm going to bring that transparency down. And you can do that on all of these layers wherever you want them. You can make them basically disappear behind that if you want. Now we kind of have a little bit of a starriness going on. We can, let's see here. I haven't used any of these, but let's grab this big old planet, which I just searched with planet. That's going to be too big for what we want, but I mean, you can basically place it anywhere, right? Wherever you think feels right. Um, and then you can move the layer again. You can layer it behind some of those pieces so it's sticking out more. And again, you can go back after you decide this. Layer more over the top of that if you think it's, you want the layers to still be over that and it looks like it's coming out from behind. Let's go and add some stars if my collection will work. Go back into the collection. We got these kind of cool looking stars, which I found just searching stars again. You can find all kinds of things, but this is kind of going to give this pop of color. I'm going to move these again. I think I want them below that main pink part we had coming through there, right through here. So it kind of pops out from the back on this one. We can go and make some smaller ones. Let's go with this blue here. And remember, another thing is like rotate them and skew them, and you don't have to make them all look the same. That's just going to be a really bright star in the sky. I'm going to duplicate that and make another one. Just, in here. This one, I'm going to make a little bit more see-through. Let's make a little bit bigger one, but we're going to make that a little more opaque as well. larger one, kind of brighter. You get the idea. You can make a whole cluster. You know, however far you want your art idea to spread. Maybe it's too much, maybe it's too little. If you want to get down to it, you can make this go as far as 400 layers, right? And that's kind of the basic idea. It's layering, transparency, playing with that transparency. I would say be aware of, some of these lines. If you're okay with how that decal came out like this and it's not really blending into the background like a galaxy would, then use more layers to kind of brush it into the side of the car. That and that's going to be for every type of use you use with transparency and layering. Is when you're working with transparency, there's always going to be possible edges that you might have to deal with, and either you try to fade them with the fades we used in 101 part 2, or with some of the ways we looked at it today with using other styles of similar type decals and blending them in, and just kind of keep blending them, keep bringing that transparency down as much as you need. You can do this for, I mean, both of these styles. You can keep working on the flames, you can keep working on your outer space look, and there's plenty of other ideas out there within that are dealing with transparency, dealing with layering, dealing with layering control and where you want it. Do you want it up front? Do you want it behind? Do you want it to fade in more? All of those things, just really play with it. It's very hard to try to explain in a short form, but hopefully you can go back, and I didn't go too fast, and you can kind of look how I chose different layers, different styles, so it doesn't look like just one decal and meshes in. I'm sure there's a million styles I've never done that you can use some of these tips for, of of meshing in, using more layering. I'll say I use this paint as more of a shiny paint because I wanted this shiny outer space look with the the clouds to kind of dull that. I wanted that pop behind to kind of help pop. With the stars and that, it's going to pop. But just think of those type of things. And remember, I think the biggest key is have an open mind when you're looking for decals. If you're not a decal maker, like I'm not a very good decal maker, but I can see decals. I have enough of a creative mind. When I see them, I say I might know where to use that. Put it in your collection, and if you find other like ones, try to group them together and go from there. You never know. Just like I said, you can skew things, you can rotate them, you can flip them to make them look different, just like we did with these. And then once you do that, you can make them more transparent to also help make that decal different. Different colors will then help keep making them different. So make sure to always have an open mind when it comes to decals. Lastly, we're going to go real quick, jump in the Sylvia I did that kind of had a better example of how well you can get the flames to work and pop. Um, this example didn't quite work as well, but I've only worked with flames a couple times. So let's just jump in and kind of look at how those blue flames in the back kind of popped a little more. We're going to the Escapes movie to check it out just a little bit. I'll let it run. I think what really helped is, as I was talking early in the video, was the paint selection and that smoke that I used as the flame, the blue flame, or in this example today, the orange and red flame. It popped way better on that paint. It just, the way it popped out, it was a lot more vibrant. The blue is vibrant as it is, but it popped more on that paint. So sometimes if you're not getting the right paint, go and check other blacks, other dark purples. Sometimes between chromes and metallic, They change how the decals look and act. So sometimes all it is the base paint that will really help. But this really had a cool smoky effect, fire effect that I kind of used in the background, had other stuff in front like the skulls just to help that be in the background, be a dark look. And that's really all we were going for here was a dark look, which is why I didn't go overboard on the flames, but I wanted them there to help the pop. So that's just an example of that. I appreciate everybody for checking out this video, coming back to this video, checking out all the other Livery 101s. It's been a fun series. If there's something you want to see, again, make sure you drop it in the comments. Drop a comment if any of these have been helpful. I've seen comments that it's helped people, so it's been awesome because that's what I'm here for. I want to help people who want to learn liveries. It's hard to always explain everything, um, but I'll take any question in, and if I'm live sometime doing liveries, I'll answer then. I may do a whole video series on it, but we'll have more coming up. I still want to dig into doing some negative decal work. I want to work on another style that works with transparency, not specific to, say, flames or this galaxy look, but just more in a general sense. So we're going to jump into that. So look out for other parts coming up, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more so you don't miss it. But until the next one, this has been Livery 101, and I'll catch you next time.